And now we would like to bring up Paul Davidson from Discovery Education, who's going to present on customized curriculum, as well as some other things.
Oh,
Come on up, Paul.
Great. Well, thanks very much. It's nice to be here, and I got to say, it's good to see Mark. We were sort of part of the way that all began in Mooresville. When you go one-to-one, you have to have something to use on the machines. If you're going to use a computer, you still have to teach math and science and social studies and all that other kind of stuff. So that was a big part of it, not just the material. People always talk about the machine part, the one-to-one part. They don't talk about what goes into the machine. So that's a big part of what we do. So I thought I'd start and talk about that. It's important, and I also want to make sure I don't talk too long. It's important to talk about what Kim did, which is the fact that kids really are different. The reason we do this transition is because kids have really changed. So I used to do a lot of data on this, but now I just sort of show video. So this is a video I taped at the airport, and it's this giant display. Have you seen these at the airport? Where you can come up. So this is, and there's sound here, but we don't need it. It's a girl that came up, and she kind of looks around all the time to see if she's in trouble, and she figures out what this is, and she unlocks it, and all these things start to happen. So she figures out it's kind of a breakout game with umbrellas and other things that come in that make sense to businessmen. Doesn't make sense to kids, but she still figured it out. So she does all this stuff. Again, looks around and says, gee, am I in trouble for doing this? It's got a little hand that pops. She figures out that makes her hand move. So we'll see her do this. And I watch people all the time, and there's a real difference between the way kids interact and the way adults interact. First of all, if it moves, she feels like she has to move right. This is the most amazing part. There's a power cord, and she figures out she needs to go and put that into the machine. It's like, are you kidding me? Anyway, that's what she did, and then it opened up a whole new set of displays. So this is the kind of digital learner we've got. There's lots of data that talks about this, and it's not that they're sort of transformed, it's that the human brain is really malleable. Stroke victims relearn how to talk. It's a very malleable thing, and when you spend a lot of time with media, you figure out how to make it work. So this is it. She's closing all the documents on her desktop. That's cool. So she spent a lot of time there. Then I watched an adult come up. This is an adult. Basically, the generation I came, she touches it first. That didn't work. Tries that. Tries it again. Tries that. Out of here. So that's sort of the difference between learners. That's why teacher training is really, really important, is because we sort of learn a different way. And they really are starting younger. This is the only video that I did not tape myself, but this is a very young kid using a digital tablet who then tries to do it on a magazine and finds out that doesn't really work very well. So these are the kids that are moving into the classrooms, and we sort of have to be ready for that. Yeah, it just doesn't work. And this is something that I saw, this relates to something I saw in Florida. I was in Florida last week visiting Collier County schools because they've adopted a digital textbook. They've, like Mooresville, adopted a fully digital textbook solution. So I'm at the airport, and I gotta tell you, this is the poor mother, and this is the luggage is right here. She's almost made it there, but this kid has figured out, look, he's won, and he tries to reset it. Finally, he decides to go with his mother, but that's the way that sort of works. So I'm thinking, if only we could do this in school. So I'm in Collier County, and look what they're doing at Collier. This is exactly the same thing, a kid jumping up, having to reach. In this case, what he's teaching himself is taking a picture of a manatee that came from the digital library in streaming and putting a frame around it, picking a color for the frame, just to make the presentation better. So that's what he does, and it's all very exciting, and that's the way that can happen. So this technology can move into schools. It's already moving into schools, and the way you make it happen is, one, you have teachers that know how to do it, which means you have to train the teachers how to do it. It's an important part. And two, you have the materials for them, not only with the hardware. This is they have this great touch screen interactive board, which is great, but you still got to do something with it. So you learn about manatees. You're not learning about PowerPoint, you're learning about manatees. And if you want manatees prettier, you'll learn how to add in the frame. So that's what that kid's doing. Anyway, so it means you've got to have a digital resource, and they wanted me to show this one, so I will. Discovery Education, which is also part of the channel, right? You know the Discovery, you've heard of the Discovery Channel? Shark Week, right? They also have a whole digital media library. They moved into digital textbooks like they moved into the cable business over 20 years ago. And there's Andrea. Hi, Andrea, who brought me here from Discovery. Thank you. Oh, let's give her a hand. She's been working over there the whole time. maybe she's got DVDs to give out, I don't know. Anyway, so this is what, probably not. Here's what it looks like when you log in on an iPad or a phone or whatever else you want to do. And you drive it up here and you push on this button, it's a curriculum standard search. So in the old days, what people would do is they'd bend the media, the lesson to match the media. If you have a great film, you find a way to sneak it into a lesson, right? You find something cool that kids will like, you build the lesson so it goes over that direction. Here you can start with, this is thousands of assets, and you can start with the standards instead of starting with the media. But if you're a teacher that's been teaching as long as I've been in education, I started teaching in '71, you tend to look for title and keyword. But no, do it by standard. So digital lets you do it by standard. So you do a search, you pick, look at all the different standards you have in this wonderful state. I'm in California, we have one. Anyway, you've got the next generation standards, you've got these. So I picked the Sunshine State standards, right? I picked science, and picked a grade level. So you're searching through this library, and then it pops up and says, okay, here's the standards. These are the Sunshine State standards for grade 8. I picked grade 8. First one is Nature of Matter. Let's click on that. Isn't that cool? Look at that. Okay, it doesn't really do this. This is just me. This is weeks away, this technology. Anyway, so you click on this, and again, here's the standards of nature of water. I just happen to pick the first ones. And this means what? When you have all these blue underlines, what does it mean? Yeah, they're links. So you start with the standards, and then you go to find the assets. And teachers like this. This is digital, but it makes sense. So you click on that, and you end up here at an asset that you can use in a lesson. But again, what you want is teachers and an understanding in the community that this is not 1980. You don't just click on this and hit play and show it and build it into a lesson that way. That's not what digital means. It's not just a replacement for film or a replacement for VHS tape. This is one, look, it's editable. That means you can give it to your kids to chop up and mash up and do a narration on that. That's a very different way to think about it. In the old days, if you took the one VHS tape about the basics of physics, the laws of motion, and a kid dubbed over it with his own voice, you got in big trouble. Right? You only had a certain number of digital tapes. Well, every kid can download this. It can be in the student center. A kid can edit it. It's got closed captions. You can read it instead of just hearing it. This is what's huge about this, is this stuff, not the fact that you're going to hit play. So let's say we click on this and we go here, a couple of big things. And this is why I started teaching in '71, taught English and Spanish and a bunch of other stuff, and then became the media director for the other Orange County. There's another one on the West Coast. We had about 400,000 kids, and we were early adopters at this library. So look, here's the cool thing. I don't have to show the whole 21-minute tape on laws of motion, right? Which, in film days, we did that, right? You roll up the film, and you started, action, science, and motion. I mean, and then you went through the end and all that stuff. Now I can say all I really want is the first law of motion, friction and inertia. It's only 6 minutes long. I can click on that. Or here's the second law. It's only 2 minutes long. So if I click on this, it means I get to download it. Here I am. And if I download this, it means that I now have it. I can download it as Flash or QuickTime or whatever I want to whatever machine. The machine's not important in the digital age. This stuff runs on a Chromebook. If you do stuff in the student assignment material, you can access it. This is account-driven, which means you can access it from any computer in the world. Right? Oh, my grandmother has a computer. Let's go over there and access. Here's my login. Here's my assignments. It follows you around. It's not in your backpack. It's up in the cloud. That also is huge, right? Doesn't matter which device you've got. So here's, anyway, so I click on this and download it. I'll download it, and it means that I can then do other stuff with it, and I can manipulate that and put myself into the picture. So we don't have a lot of time to set this up, but wouldn't we want to do this? Wouldn't this be a good idea? Yes, it would. Okay, so let's do it now. You saw me hit the download, so I downloaded. Here's Newton's first law of motion. Who would like to explain Newton's first law of motion? It's that objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Anybody want to explain that? Now, ideally, we would have watched the movie and we'd be able to do it, but somebody will. You, perfect. All right, so come on up. Yes, that's right. Yes, the one looking away. So come up here, and this may be a little tough. What computers do now is sort of amazing. In the old days, you hooked up microphones, you did dubs in that way. Now this computer can memorize this background and take it away and put in the video of Newton's first law of motion. I can put you inside the video
and you'll be explaining what's behind you with the pool balls. Things like that. You ready for that?
Sure.
Did all your homework, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So come on up here and stand here. And I picked you because you don't have match the background.
Okay.
Isn't that nice? So we'll see. I mean, this is not an ideal situation, but I'm going to click on effects over here. This is I'm doing this on a Mac, so this is a free program on a Mac. So if you have a Mac, if you have an iPad, you have this program. Right? So this is free. It's just a matter of saying to teachers, your kids can do this. Once they start doing it, they really like it. So I'm going to go to the end here. I've also got dinosaurs and math problems and things like that, but we can do, unless you want to do dinosaurs, we could do, you want to do physics? Okay, just attach to physics. Yes?
No, not really. I actually don't teach physics, but
What do you teach?
I teach sports.
Perfect. Okay, so this is it. This has a lot of sports involved. All right, so here we go. So I just dragged, that's where I downloaded it, right? You saw where I downloaded it right here? And then I dragged it into this square. That's all you got to do. So now it's like a green screen, right? Like the weatherman and all the fronts come in, right? Because I'm in LA, we have no Florida, we have no weather. You have weather in Florida, so you know about weathermen, right? So this is it. So it's going to say step out of the way. We're going to step out of the way, and then we're going to come back and we'll make a video, okay? So I'm going to click on this, double click, step out of the way. Okay, so come on back, and we'll start recording. There's holes in you, but that's, so you can stick back or be close, 3, 2, 1, and here you can.
Just describe what's happening with motion.
We're shooting pool.
In a line.
Okay, in a line. Now we're
Because it's a body in motion.
body in motion. Thank you for teaching us.
You can wave back, the kid can see you.
Okay, now we're back to
There
shooting
you go.
pool.
So you can float your head in here and move around or do whatever you want. And again, this is a tough background, but you get the idea. So step in just a little bit and at least wave and say, hi, this is me.
So I'd be the teacher teaching inside the screen of this picture.
Or ideally, and let's give her a hand. Can we give her a hand? Thank you. Ideally, you would be a teacher that assigned this video, put it on a flash drive to a student and say, look, you guys go back in the corner, go to that machine and put yourself into video. And there's no sound in this video because it's stripped it away. So you have to explain what's happening. So whether
they
it's
would create like a narration of it.
they create a video that looks a lot like this. So here we go. So this is the video you just
Describe
made.
what's happening with motion.
We're shooting pool.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So you might want to do it again and add even more detail about physics and Newton and
Thank you.
But so there it is. So do you think kids would like doing that? You can sure they would. So let's give her a hand again. Thank you very much. Thank you. I may use you later. You can plug your head in here and move around. So if I want to, I mean that's how it works. I can also, if I need to, actually add. Let's add that video to the present, because this is where I am. I'm doing this PowerPoint presentation, right? So here, this seems to be where the action is. So I can go and actually find out where the video was that we just made. Here it is. Let's insert that. And now let's give it a more colorful frame. There she is, and she's now part of the video she just made is now part of this presentation. And that's part of what it means when you go digital. It means that you have the ability to transform stuff and move it around. If we want to look more, and then we'll do one thing on a digital device and then I'll stop. But here's, that's the video that we just saw. And here's how to do it. The important part is up here. If you don't show teachers how to do this, they won't do it. In this library, which a majority of people in this state have, you can build online lessons that kids can access from anywhere in the world. You can add videos, add tutorials, do whatever you want. This is not where people go. People go and they look for a video about dinosaurs or math or whatever they need. This is the part where you have to train it. And as Mark Edwards said, you've got to get everybody on board. Otherwise, you get everything and you don't change the behavior. So taking a couple of years to do that. All right, so you've got that. You can't emphasize it enough. Here's an interactive glossary. This is available now. Some of your districts in Florida have this already. But it means that if you're not a great reader, that you can actually have not only a written definition in English or Spanish, but also a visualization, right? What's amplitude? Amplitude is this. It's a difference between the crest of a wave and the bottom of a wave, and this is a visualization of that. So if I've got a smartphone, or I've got an iPad, or I've got a Chromebook, it means that I'm not dependent upon the text to deliver information. The text is no longer as important. That's what it looks like now. This is the next generation of textbook. So This won't be around until the fall, but look at this. That means a kid has a digital device, he's got all the grade levels there. A teacher can access, every book is in here. Here's the material, and you can pick I picked force and motion, but you see how it works, and you've got all this cool stuff that you navigate around to. And if you go to, this is my little mouse moving around. But if I do this, I've got model lessons, I've got what the nature of science is. All this is in the book. All this is there. So instead of just a teacher's guide, it has a guide that has videos that walk you through the knowledge of information. Instead of just assignments and explanations, it's got videos and more. So if I click on the formation of the solar system, there's a model lesson there. And remember, this isn't available until the fall. This would cost, if you have a 6-year adoption cycle, this is $7 per student for the years of the adoption. So that's pretty cheap compared to, it's like Mark said, you can save money when you give up print and you move to digital. That's a pretty big savings compared to what print books used to be when I was math department chair and we were paying $80 per kid for our math adoption. Anyway, this is one of the preps that shows teachers what to do, just in case they're not familiar with science. And the coolest part I'll just show you, because you're in Florida, and as California, we have a lot of the same student population. But here's a model lesson. And again, you have to learn how to navigate around this, but once you do, you've got this, and again, text information. If you're a kid and you want to see this, you've got it. But look up in the top. You've got, if you highlight this, and you're not a strong reader, that used to kill you in science, now your book can
in 1977,
read itself to you.
NASA scientists launched two
So,
probes.
if you're good readers, and I'm guessing most of you are, this is not a huge thing. If you're not a good reader, this is gigantic. Because suddenly you're able to get to science without doing it. And let's say you speak Spanish, with a click, it all becomes in Espanol. Not only is it in Spanish, but it means that it can read it to you in Spanish too. That's something that's very different and very
Conociendo la
cool.
formación de nuestro
So,
sistema
isn't that
solar.
neat though?
En
So
1977,
this is the next generation of what a digital textbook will look like, but it's so cool. So Mark Edwards is using the old one, but you talk about differentiation. You can differentiate by language, by text size, by colors, by all this other stuff that makes a difference with young learners. That's why you want to move to an initiative where you end up with digital material here. So, am I done? Okay, good. All right, so I brought my iPad, it's hooked up. We will not build content on there, but it's fun. And there's a chance to answer questions later. But basically it's this. When you get the machine, you have content that teachers learn how to use on that machine. That means you're freed from the backpack. These things not only have cameras in them, so do the iPads, so do the Chromebooks. They have cameras, they have the ability to create content, to move it online, to share it. That's what we're moving to when we talk about moving to digital. And I'll look forward to your questions later. Thank you.